Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. The young and the restless, Nick reflects on his life and hopes that his mistakes have made him wiser. Nick arrives at Sharon's with a paper bag full of junk food. They are both taking the day off since Faith is coming home. She's dropping by before going off to Europe for the summer with her friends. They wish they could talk her into staying, but think that's unlikely. Sharon says that their daughter has his sense of adventure as well as his sweet tooth. They put the ice cream he bought in the freezer. Sharon worries about how the place looks and wishes she'd had more time to prepare. The walks through the door, the parents take turns hugging her. Nick hugs her extra long until she asks him to stop. He notices how heavy her bags are. They are full of gifts. She explains that she took a rideshare there. She needs to prove that she can do things on her own, since what happened with Cameron. Being with them makes her feel safe. When her mom asks why she seems so on edge, Faith bursts into tears. They sit on the couch and Nick gets his daughter some water. Why are men such jerks? Faith asks. She explains that Moses broke up with her. He thought they got together too young, and dating other people is part of the college experience. Her parents are sorry to hear this. Her mom says the pain will go away eventually, and she'll remember the good times. Faith declares she will never fall in love again. Nick gets them cake and ice cream. His daughter admires how her parents still get along after splitting up a zillion times. Nick says it wasn't all hell, there was a lot of love too. Sharon adds that it helps that Nick is thoughtful and was a real romantic back in the day. As she and Nick lock eyes, they think of when they used to skinny dip on a tropical island. Maria and Tessa arrive. Aria is home napping with the sitter. Faith tells them they are just in time to hear Nick and Sharon's love story. The three of them sit and prompt the former couple to tell them everything. Sharon recalls how they used to drive around in his pickup truck like the rest of the world didn't exist. He says the first time he saw her, that was it. He was done. They flash back to making out in the truck and lounging by the pool, talking about how great their chemistry was. Nick admits it wasn't easy. He and Sharon remember the other people they dated and how badly Matt Clark reacted to Sharon dumping him to be with Nick. Matt wound up dead and Nick went to jail for it. That's when he learned that there is nothing fun about prison. His ex, Amy, eventually came forward and confessed to shooting Matt so he was released. Sharon adds that Nikki was also a serious obstacle because she didn't think Sharon was a proper young lady. It wasn't until Noah was born that Nikki and Victor started to accept Sharon into the family. Things changed after that. He discovered that Cassie was the child that Sharon was forced to give up when she was 16. It was hard for him to accept a child that she wasn't his. Eventually, he came to love Cassie as his own. Sharon just wishes they'd found Mariah at the same time so the sisters could have grown up together. Nick tells them how lucky they were to have Cassie in their lives. They move on to discussing how he went to work with his father and how much friction there was, especially over the coffee house. Nick and Sharon announce that they cheated. He shacked up with Grace and she was sleeping with Diego. That resulted in a bitter divorce. It was a tough time, but the hardest blow was losing Cassie. That gutted them. He remembers how clueless it left him and how he tore apart the house. Nick and Sharon hold hands as he explains he couldn't handle his grief. People got hurt, especially Sharon. That's when he wound up with Phyllis. They recall how Sharon confronted them for hooking up. They both tried to move on, but kept getting back together at the cabin. The first time resulted in Faith. It wasn't always easy, and there were a lot of complications, like her getting kidnapped. But they ended up happily together just as Cassie had predicted on her deathbed. Tessa is shocked to hear that part. Faith reminds her parents that they wound up fighting for custody of her. Sharon is sorry they ended up hurting her. They remember their almost wedding that ended with Sharon slapping Nick. Even at their angriest, They knew anything was possible because they loved each other. Maria and Tessa get a text about Aria being awake. Apologizing, they leave to see their daughter. Nick and Sharon worry they have shared too much information, but Faith is glad she's heard all of this. She can see their mistakes may have made them even stronger. Nick explains that life and love are messy, as he's sure she's finding out right now. He thinks that family keeps people grounded and brings them back to the center, no matter how far they've drifted. Maybe one day Moses will realize she's his center. Is Mom yours? Asks Faith. Nick says he will always love Sharon. He thinks they've finally found the right balance, and that's all tied to her and Noah. They've been their center. Sharon thinks that was perfectly put, and Faith loves them even more. The three of them hug. Nick goes to the ranch house. He calls for his parents, but they aren't around. Picking up a photo of his sister, he remembers welcoming her back to town and attending one of her weddings. He recalls telling his mom how tough she is, and remembers working out with his father. Victor told him how proud he was of him. His parents come in, and he snaps out of the reverie. They sit down, and Nick announces there is something he needs to say to them. His mom hopes it's not bad news. Their son says he just wants them both to know how much he loves them, and how indebted he is for the life they've given him. Nikki thinks that's lovely but wonders where this is coming from. Nick explains that he and Sharon just told Faith the good and bad of their lives, and it reminded him of some